Good evening and welcome everybody to yet another episode of How To. Today, my guest with us is Vinod Shetty, the dynamic founder of Econ Foundation and a lawyer by profession. Akon is an association that helps in the upliftment of the youngsters living in the Dharavi slums of Mumbai. Akon has been doing a lot for the people of Dharavi and now too, especially in the pandemic. Vinod and Akon are doing lots to help the people in the current situation of economic crisis and medical crisis. To get to know Vinod and Akon much more better, let's add him to this conversation and get to know what he and his association is all about. So, hi and welcome, Vinod, to How To. It's a pleasure to have you on board my talk this evening. And for my guests who don't know anything or have been living under a shell, I would love them to get to know Vinod Shetty a little bit more better. So, could you give us a brief introduction about yourself, Vinod?
Hi, Valencia. Thank you for inviting me on your show. It's always been a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, my
My
pleasure.
introduction is basically I'm a boring lawyer, and I've been a lawyer for the last 30, 35, 30 years, practicing in the Bombay High Court, in the industrial courts, labor courts.
Mhm.
And I also do a little civil liberties work. I do some human rights work.
Mhm.
And in '98, I started an NGO called Econ Foundation. So currently, I'm known more as the director of Econ Foundation.
Yeah, and what a great job you're doing with that. I think your profession of a lawyer is kind of taken a back seat, but you are doing so much for the youngsters of Dharavi, and some of them have really been doing really well. I mean, I've been following Akon ever since you have founded it, and been a silent admirer of the activities that you're doing, and I'm so proud to know you as a friend. For those who don't know more about Akon, can you throw some more light about what Akon does?
Basically, Econ Foundation was established to work with informal workers, mainly waste collectors, and
Mm-hmm.
what you call in slang as rag pickers. You see,
Yeah, yeah,
in in our society, people who work in waste are treated very badly. You see,
true, true.
our caste system is such that he or she who works in the most kind of manual, this kind of scavenging work is treated the lowest in our society.
Definitely.
And since I worked with formal workers who belong to unions, I always felt the need that these informal workers who need our protection, and society has a debt to pay for the work which they do, because
Mm-hmm.
finally whose waste are they cleaning, whose garbage, whose plastic. It is
Yes,
our waste, it is our
definitely.
trash which we throw,
Mm-hmm.
uh, is what they have to scavenge through. And it is sad that in our society that children, women, and people from minorities, people from the lower castes are forced to do this kind of work. So Econ Foundation was established mainly as a platform. It was a multimedia platform to
Mm-hmm.
highlight the work of these waste collectors, whom we call green collar workers. You have a blue collar worker, you have a white collar worker,
Mm-hmm.
but green collar workers are those who save the planet, who work for the environment. So these people are actually saving our planet by collecting the plastic, recycling it. So
True.
that is why Econ Foundation was formed in '98. And
Wow.
since then, we've been working in Dharavi, which, as you know, is one of the largest uh, slums or workers' colonies in Asia. So
Yes.
we have about 1 million people living in Dharavi,
Yeah.
and it also happens to be the largest recycling hub in the country.
Okay.
So this is where all the plastic, e-waste, cardboard, paper lands up, and that is recycled and sent forward to industries to use it. So
Okay.
this is where we have a community center where we do our activities since 98.
Oh, lovely. And besides this main foundation that you're involved in the recycling, you have been known to encourage the youngsters in the world of music. Can you throw some light on that as well?
So one of the hats which I also wear is the manager of the Dharavi Rocks band. So
Yeah.
this is a very unique band because this was started mainly first for those children who were in this industry itself, in the rag picking, waste collection industry. When we started the work, we found many young children, you
Mm-hmm.
know, barely 10 to 14 to 15, 16. These kids were working in plastic and doing segregation work in Dharavi. So we first started uh, music as a therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and we involved artists like Sunita Rao, and I got advice from Shankar Mahadevan and my
Mm-hmm.
friends from Blue Frog. Blue Frog, as you know, at that time was one of the premier jazz clubs, and my friend Mahesh Matai and Srila
Mm-hmm.
and Emma, who was the
Mm-hmm.
manager of Blue Frog, we all got together and we sat and decided to start Dharavi Rocks, which would be a platform
Mm-hmm.
where musicians from all over the world who are visiting Bombay would do workshops for these kids in Dharavi, and we would start a band. There was no big plan to start a band itself, but more as a workshop space for the kids, and that the kids would, enjoy themselves, and through that joy, it would, somehow make their life more, better. And for those 1 or 2 hours which they listen to music,
Yeah.
they would forget all their worries and the sadness in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So we formed Dharavi Rocks, and from since then, since the formation of Dharavi Rocks, we have done more than 200 shows. And what
Wow.
started as just a therapy
Yeah.
has ended up with children picking up music,
Yes.
by and they play on trash. And the unique thing about Dharavi Rocks is they play on old plastic drums,
Yeah.
and they play on discarded metal boxes, and they've gone on stage. And believe me, these kids, some of them, they've picked up the music so well.
Mm-hmm.
And we played for Amitabh Bachchan. We've gone to London for the
Oh, wow.
Roundhouse show. So it's been an amazing journey in Dharavi Rocks, teaching. And the kids are not constant. So it's like a work in progress. Every year we get a fresh batch of kids, but at any given time, there are about 30 kids learning music at Econ, and they are taught by the best of musicians. And currently, Vinesh Nair is the teacher
Okay.
who's been training.
Such an interesting interest and anecdote of Dharavi Rocks. I've seen some of the music that's come out, and it's so lively and so infuses so much of life into anyone who's listening and participating in it. Does How do you get people to help you in your initiatives? How does Acon, how does Acon survive?
It's been friends, family, and starting from there by word by mouth. So today we get volunteers from all over the world to visit Bombay, and we have IIT students who want to volunteer for the Econ Foundation. And
Mm-hmm.
what Econ also does is works with schools, offices, and institutions. So we give them a platform where students or office employees can come and volunteer their services
All
as
right.
part of the CSR.
Yeah.
So schools like the Oberoi School, the Ambani School, or the American School in Mumbai, we have Econ clubs there, even the German school, and they collect the waste. I train the kids, the students in waste collection and segregation, and then our adult waste collectors, Econ staff, go and pick up this waste every week, and
Okay.
that is brought back to Dharavi, and the recycling is done there. So
Okay.
we've also tied up with offices like Bloomberg, where we were collecting before the lockdown on a daily basis. So these kind of activities are carried on by Econ Foundation, by which we get revenue, by which we get volunteers, and by which we get many people who come forward to help Econ Foundation.
Oh, lovely. The lockdown has been challenging for everybody, especially when the lockdown first took place. Dharavi was the biggest concern about an outspread, but Dharavi excelled and really showed Mumbai and India that they were able to curtail the pandemic, and that was one of the really feathers in the hat for them. Can you tell us some of the challenges that Dharavi and Akon has had to face and deal with during this pandemic, and what you're going through right now? How has it been?
See, the entire informal economy of Dharavi works on a day-to-day basis. You see,
Yeah,
people are
yeah,
mainly the jobs come in into Dharavi, and tailors and other karigars who work there. The
hmm,
skilled workers, they are paid on daily basis or on piecemeal, item wise.
yeah,
What the lockdown did, the sudden lockdown actually choked Dharavi. The entire economy has shrunk,
yeah,
and the entire liquidity has been siphoned off. It is completely, today Dharavi is in shambles because all the workshops are just, they are barely able to survive today, and the liquidity has gone out. So the lockdown, people have had to leave the city. The saddest part was, as you must have also seen, and your viewers must have seen, the migrants who left, on
yeah,
foot,
yeah,
and carrying their children and going away, were forced to do that because they had no other choice.
yeah,
Because we as a society, sadly, do not take care of our, the most vulnerable sections of our society. As a
true.
global city, Mumbai is a great city, but when push came to shove, and in the pandemic, we should have taken care of the poorest of poor. But
Hmm.
instead, everybody was busy with their own lives because you see, the pandemic affected everyone.
Yeah,
But this loss of livelihood for the people of Dharavi has been so sudden and shocking, and has caused so much trauma to them that they've had to leave the city and they lost hope. The saddest part, Valencia, is when people lose hope in life itself.
yeah,
So, Mumbai being this golden city, people come here thinking that they will educate their children, that they will help their children become something which they did not get access to.
true.
And when you shatter those dreams, people just walk away. People couldn't live because they couldn't pay rents. They
Yeah,
couldn't pay rents. They couldn't feed their children.
hmm,
Schools were shut. So people just felt that the best thing to do is to just go back to the villages from where they first came from. It
yeah,
is because of rural distress that they came to Mumbai, and
yeah.
sadly enough, they they felt shattered enough to go back to those villages. So that is what happened in this lockdown. And what Econ did was, since our educational activities were shut, our recycling work was affected, we started distributing food.
Yeah.
And Econ distributed about 75,000 meals during these months, and we were giving out dry rations and cooked meals to all these families. So all our staff, because outsiders couldn't go in,
Yeah.
so our students and our staff identified families and saw to it that nobody went hungry. As in the areas and the people and the families we worked with, we saw to it that they got a meal every day.
God bless your big heart, Vinod. You're such a huge, loving teddy bear with an awesome, loving heart that you have done so much. Tell me, now that the lockdown is slowly opening up, things are opening up and coming to a slight decent, they're talking of restaurants and bars opening up. Are people coming back? Is Dharavi coming, seeing people coming back to their homes?
Yes, people have to come back, you see, because as I said earlier, there's nothing happening in the
Rural.
villages. There are
Yeah.
no jobs for people. So
Yeah.
people just went and tried to get government work, this kind of digging of roads, and that kind of work, is heartbreaking. 12 hours of work. And these people have actually escaped those lives, because what people also who come to Dharavi, they also face a lot of oppression in their villages. If you look at our rural, you see it all looks good to us because we go on holidays and we see greenery, we
Yeah.
love the outside. But what you see in the villages is, caste violence. You see minorities being lynched. You see a whole lot of, women being thrown out of their houses. Just yesterday, you must have read about the gang rape of
Harrowing,
Dalit.
harrowing. Yeah.
I know these are all horrifying incidents which happen there, and you think that all this happens outside our lives. But
Mm.
people who are harassed with all this, they come to the city to forget all this.
Yeah.
They feel in the city nobody's going to ask for their caste, nobody's going to ask for their religion, and you do an honest day's work, you'll be paid for it. But what happened was lockdown broke that. That even a person who's ready to work for 10 hours as in your house as a watchman, as a hawker, even they couldn't work. So that is when they had to leave. But now, having gone back to the villages, they are slowly coming back because there's nothing there, as I said. They are hoping that the schools reopen and their jobs come back. So what I see in Dharavi, in fact, today only we saw a lot of these workshops, karkhanas, where workers used to live inside the factories. They are coming back to life. And my hope is that in the coming months, that is in the next 2 months, Dharavi is going to hit the ground running, because finally Bombay is a resilient place. As you know, even during the bomb blast,
Yes.
within 2 days, people started traveling by train after the blast. So
True.
now also people are just waiting. The minute the government announces that the trains will
First week of
start, actually
October.
today,
Yeah.
people are going to go back to work. So they're
True.
waiting for that. And I feel the best way to run this city is the public transport has to work. People
Yeah.
have to get to work.
Yeah.
And Dharavi itself will start working, because finally nobody does it cheaper than Dharavi. If the people in Dharavi actually give you a challenge. Okay? If you are able to find a cheaper, laborer or a contractor anywhere else, you go anywhere. But you can't find a cheaper karigar. So that is why people who want leather manufactured, garments manufactured, or recycling, they will come back to Dharavi. And when the jobs start coming into Dharavi, I'm sure all our brothers and sisters from all over the country who live in Dharavi will be waiting there to make that garment, our shirts, our pants, make the embroidery, make leather goods for Italy, all these, or ballet shoes, all these people, karigars, are waiting to do our work and give us goods and services which are cheap.
We know that we have, as a society, people of Mumbai, we have let down the people of Dharavi and all the laborer classes who had to walk back home. If Dharavi is getting its people back, how can we, as a city, help them? How give us some ideas, Vinod, how we can be of assistance if we've let them down and let them go back without we've broken their hope. How can we encourage them back on? Uh, how would you give us some advice on that?
I feel what the lockdown has taught us is also is the importance of public health. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the public health is very important, because the health services which government provides to the poor who depend on these kind of hospitals like Nair Hospital or Sion Hospital, these are hospitals which are actually serving the poorest of poor.
True.
And today it is these doctors and health workers who have saved lives in Dharavi. We must, as a society, remember that if you want a global city, you want a society whose economy is world class, then you have to take care of those people who are giving you those basic services. Our
Exactly.
istriwala, our hawker, our the boy who washes the car, our watchman, okay, all these people, our auto rickshaw driver, taxi driver, we as a society need to highlight the contribution of these people into running of a global city. And I think for all of us who are privileged enough to get an education, get jobs, we have to highlight their contribution to cities like Mumbai, and say that Mumbai can't be a global city or Delhi can't be a global city unless you respect these workers who come from all over India, leaving their family behind just to come and offer their services to us. And it doesn't take much for us to be a little kinder to them,
True.
pay a little extra to the people who work for us. They might be cooking our food or cleaning up our houses, but remember their lives and their people. And when they go away, you see what happens to Bombay. Bombay comes to a standstill.
True.
So if these kind of migrant labor leave the city, we as a global city cannot last. Our
True.
services and goods, nothing is going to run. even these restaurants which are going to start, imagine without waiters, okay,
Mm,
without people in the kitchen, how are
mm,
you going to run these organizations? So
true.
it's very important to understand the importance of labor, and I feel all of us must give labor the dignity it deserves. That is where we start from.
That's really awesome advice. Vinod, some of my viewers, I know I am so impressed. I think my hair is standing up. I mean, this has been such an awesome discussion that we are having. People definitely will want to come forward. Would want to render their help. They might not know how to give it. So probably the best thing would be to reach out to Akon. So tell us how Akon is going to go forward now that everything seems to be opening up slightly. What are your endeavors? What are you looking forward in some kind of help? Tell us so that we can at least try to reach out and give our help to you.
Sure, sure. For those who want to reach out to Econ Foundation, you can get in touch with either me personally on my phone, or you could just send me an email at dharaviproject at gmail.com.
Hmm.
Dharaviproject at gmail.com, and
Okay.
I'll get back to you. Other
Okay.
than that, what we are planning is as soon as the lockdown's intensity decreases,
Hmm.
all our activities which involve children are actually group activities, be it
Okay.
workshops, be it the band, be it classroom, because we have a classroom in Xavier's college in Mahim.
Okay.
So we also play football on the same field of the
Okay.
Xavier's college there.
Okay.
So for all these activities, we need that the children do not face any risk of COVID-19.
Hmm.
So the minute that risk goes down, we are going to start our activities soon. We are also moving to our landlord has just repaired the building. We are moving into that premises now, and we are setting up an office where we are going to go online, and
Oh,
we are going
lovely.
to use the same facilities where all the workshops we've had, they'll be all available online for our kids in Dharavi because they've been getting their classroom uh, lessons
How lovely.
online.
How lovely.
So what Econ is going to do is all our musicians and people who teach the kids, they're from all over the world. You'll
Hmm.
be surprised at the number of collaborations we have. We work with the London Bath Spa, the UK University. We work with the Scotland's Royal Scotland University. We work with the Shiv Nadar University in Delhi.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
all these universities, there are academics who teach our kids things from robotics to 3D printing. So now
Wow.
what we're setting up is a museum in our office which will teach children of how recycling is done of plastic. So every product will be there, and we will have the shredded version of it to explain to people of what happens to the plastics we use and where does it go. So the idea is that children and school children are able to come to the Econ Community Center and learn more about plastics and recycling. So the 3D printing project is being done with these academics where we are teaching children how to make new products out of plastic. And the
Lovely.
3D printers is the latest state of the art technology which we want it to be available to the children from Dharavi so that they will get jobs and they will have better careers in their life. So these activities are going to continue, and we are going to start using online services so that the best of academics can teach the children.
It's so lovely, Vinod, to know what you're doing in the last 7 months. We can see that you haven't been sitting still and twiddling your thumbs. You have been busy as ever, keeping busy with all these various activities and lining up these things with the children and the youngsters. And having spoken to you, it's not only the fact that there was a sense that we have, as a society, let down our people, but you have given us hope that there is so much to look forward to that you're doing, and the children have so much more bright future to look forward to once this thing is COVID is going to be a past history for all of us. We I mean, as your friend, have known you for the last 20 odd years or so. I still remember this one thing you said to me one evening at a party. You said, when you're doing something good, you just put it out there and the good comes back to you hundredfolds. And I've seen that with what you have done with Akon and with the youngsters, and that sentence of yours to me has really inspired me over the years. And it's so true that, what you have done, how you have reached out to people, and international, people all over the globe have come back to you, is because you have put good out there for people, and it's coming back hundredfolds. So I wish you all the best and Akon, and we give our support and help and encouragement to you, Vinod. I will share the links to Akon and any other links that you want me to share with the viewers, so that we would also be a part in helping you, helping our society come back on its feet, and especially Dharavi, and even Dharavi rocks. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Any last thing you want to leave us with? Your whole conversation has been so insightful and so inspiring. Anything you would like to leave us with?
I'd like to simply appeal to all of your viewers and your friends who support you so much in the good work you do. And I want to tell them that not to lose hope,
Yeah.
and that all of us, we are capable of doing so many things. Okay,
True.
it may not be the largest thing, and nothing is small or large in this
Yeah.
kind of work we do, and we have to change society from the grassroots and the poorest of poor. This is the only true test. Look around you and see who needs your help. And I feel that even if we do the most simplest of things for people, it's going to make a difference to the entire society. So nothing is small, nothing is big. Keep on doing good work. Use your education, use your privileged life to change society.
I said, it's been awesome to be calling myself a friend of Vinod Shetty. You're a true inspiration to so many of us, and we continue to bless you and pray for you and Akon and everyone involved with it. Keep up the good work. Keep touching and you know being a ray of hope to all the unprivileged and the unspeakable and the unspoken for, and you can count on us for our help in the future, Vinod. Yeah, thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Thank you for having me. Yes, it's been
Thank you
a
so
great.
thank you so much for being part of How To. You have a nice evening, and thank you everyone once again for tuning into How To, and we look forward to having you on board next time again soon. So take care and God bless.
Bye, Valenci.